Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to go over today 7 reasons why the narcissist cannot change. So let's just jump into this. Number 1 is the narcissist cannot change because they have lack of self-awareness. Because they have lack of self-awareness, they're in denial, so they can never go inside and really look at themselves with truth and see where they can self-reflect on things that they have done that maybe need to be tweaked, maybe need to be adjusted, or see where they could work on their character so that they can have more worth. Somebody in humanity, when they have the ability to look at themselves honestly for who they are, take constructive criticism, even though it may injure you a little bit, but we know that it's worth it to us to find out issues that we may have underlying that we may not see. Look at ourselves in the mirror and to listen to the people around us if we have good people around us. If you're an individual that is a truth seeker and you want to resemble and embody what truth is. Because if you can embody and resemble what truth is and what love is, then, you can reflect goodness. And that's what, generally speaking, humanity should have in mind, right? To be balanced in your truth and goodness and want to grow in those areas because those bring a lot of authenticity to you. And the closer you get to your authenticity of truth and justice and reflecting who you are, going inside and looking at your shadow self and healing places that maybe there's some spots in your life where you need to work on. We all have those. And so if you can shine a lot of light on that, eradicate those evils in your life, then you can be completely authentic, and that's the idea. And so the narcissist cannot do that. They're in this denial. And if they do surround themselves around people, they do not want to be around truth tellers. They do not want to be around people that are working on themselves or want to be in good standings with others, right? They wear a mask and a facade. And so if you irritate that or if you challenge that, they will not be around you. You become the enemy, and they will just build a new facade, a new mask, a better one. And so they like to build a wall of people that surround them, which we call the flying monkeys. They believe the mask and they believe the facade. They keep them compartmentalized, and they may be narcissists as well, so they would equally be comfortable with it, or narcissistic, or that they have something to gain from it. Okay, that's not a way of healing, and that's not a way of getting help and a way to change. Number 2, they're twisted. They have a twisted sense of perception. Because they have a twisted sense of perception, it's because they have created this mess. Avoid dealing with issues and topics that become issues that continue to reoccur. So if they have cycles that they have with individuals, they do similar to the same things. They don't really learn, and that's why we call them cycles, because then they become revolving into the same old thing again. But they can never look at, say, the past, see it as, well, if I reflect on the past and I did some things that caused me to land me into problems, why can't I look at the future and these reoccurring issues and maybe deal with them differently, right? Or to assess from the past how I can fix my future. It's always got to be, the fail-safe is it's always somebody else's fault, or the way they perceive it is always not them. It's on somebody else. It's like the blame game, right? And so they always perceive it as, you're talking about getting into this delusional reality that they have that they call the illusion. It's almost like they're the monster. And as long as the monster can, get away with doing evil, but nobody knows about it, or people believe that they're not a monster, but a good individual. Even if they are the monster, they don't care as long as you believe the lie. And that's the thing with them. And that's what's so detrimental, is that's what's really so seriously evil about them, is they could be a monster, know they're a monster, but if they don't get caught, and if everybody believes that they're pristine and truthful individual, then they're okay with that. And we're not. We feel like we're a sham, and we know we are, and we have to go inside and do something different. Number 3 is their state of inner avoidance. So they don't deal with things that, and the outer is avoidant. You know, they form these flying monkeys, build these walls up, and they're impenetrable. There's a lot of insulation between them and the world a lot of times in reality. And so they continue to, that's why they need flying monkeys. That's why they need the individuals that they let in to their life, and around them and surrounding their orbit are people that they can manipulate, or that are not truth seekers and truth tellers and don't challenge that in their life. So on the inside, it's kind of similar. They're in a state of denial. They can't, it's almost like they've blocked out anything in their past that has caused any injury or any wound or any reason that is causing them to act the way they do. But see, it's not like they can't, but they are in a state to where they choose to put everything in denial. And to really get change, you have to decide that you don't like what you're doing on a daily basis and that it's wrong. You have to have a sense of right and wrong, and you have to have a sense of, feeling of remorse, and that's another issue. So they avoid everything in their life that causes anything to affect the mask or the illusion in a negative way. They have to get, validation. They have to get supply. They have to feel like everybody else is the issue. Everything else, and either environmental or the people around them, when it comes down to it, are the problem. It's never them. Number 4 is lack of empathy. So when you have lack of empathy, they do have the ability to have cognitive empathy and sometimes a little bit of emotional empathy, but I would challenge that a lot of times. Now, some of them probably do, but it seems as if the closer that you get to a narcissist is the least amount of empathy that they have for that individual. It's almost like they really like the one that treats them the worst, and the one that loves them the most is the one that cares for them the most is the one they hate the most or give the least amount of empathy. And, I think some of it is unconsciously, to a degree, if they know that they treat people like trash, and they treat everything living and all mankind like trash, man and woman. And so anything breathing, they will kick it and destroy it, right? And they do so much evil and devise so much evil. I think that inside that they do know that if you're giving them some sort of empathy, that you must be playing them. And what does that say about you is what they're thinking. That you are giving me some sort of love and care when I'm a piece of shit. And they know that. So this is where these things are underlying, but because they're in denial, they refuse to deal with them. That this is kind of where you have, this river of emotions that's not dealt with, you see? And so this is why a lot of times the narcissist will pop off and rage. And it's because they never, one thing, like I said, I've said this before, but in the narcissistic family, they never help you to, everybody is emotionally checked out. So the emotions are in the house, the emotions are being felt, but nobody will help anybody work through them. And it's almost like, you want to be seen and not heard. You do what you're told, or else, you get your ass kicked. And it's just kind of like, this is what we do, and we don't discuss why we do what we do. It's like the insulation that I'm talking about, the walls that the narcissist builds, even in the family unit, the cultic family unit. It's like, you can't think a certain way, and if you think a certain way outside the narcissist hierarchy's thinking, then you're going to get shamed for it, and you're going to continue to get shamed by not just the narcissist, but the whole family. So you learn to just kind of be seen and not heard, kind of like where they talk about the invisible child, where, a lot of the children in the family, whether they become a narcissist or not, they have these emotions that come up in their life, and nobody helps them to sort through them. And it's just like, even, the hierarchy of them, the narcissist, the enabler, the children, they all have emotions that aren't being dealt with. So they're all getting thrown around. And if you don't have if you can't make sense of your emotions, okay, none of you, then you're getting all this emotions that are out of whack and out of control, whether it's good or bad, getting thrown around all over the place. It's like they're not regulated. And so, like I say, when the empath gets older and starts to heal, they have the ability to regulate, but they still have to go inside and heal, because they have a lot of underlying emotions that need to be dealt with as well. And that's, trauma and undealt with emotions. So lack of remorse is the next one. Lack of remorse is like, it kind of goes with the empathy to some degree. When you don't feel empathy, you don't feel love or care about anybody except yourself, and you have never worked through your emotions, these emotions are under there. And when you're talking about a narcissist, they're devising evil at this point. Maybe not in early childhood, but by now they're doing nothing but trying to increase their people of position that they can use and abuse their wealth by, stealing it from others and manipulating others. And so they don't have any remorse. They lie, cheat, and steal, but then they don't feel bad for you. They don't feel bad for you when they've put you in positions to where you've done nothing but love them, care for them, take care of them. You were supposed to be in a monogamous relationship, and some of us put in years, man, some of us decades, some of us had families with them, and they create all of these issues, and then they come back, or they'll go, devise evil, say, leave you, get into a fight, argue with you, leave the house for a weekend, go out with somebody else and cheat on you, and then straighten out the mask and come back home like as if nothing happened and it was never their fault, it was your fault. And you can't get anywhere with that. You have to go inside and accept that you have faults too. Number 6 is lack of authenticity. So there's something to say about authenticity when you can't be authentic with somebody else. So when I'm having a conversation with somebody, and if I had an issue with them, I have to go inside and I have to find my feelings and hash out and think out and process my feelings and explain to them the way that I feel, the way that I think, and the way that I am understanding and relating it to where I have to explain how I feel. And then you have to have the ability to have your partner to accept that explanation and to try to find understanding in that with truth and justice in their own life. So when you have a relationship with somebody, you can't do it all. Okay, and it normally takes 2 to tango, right? But when you get into the narcissistic relationship, that is not true. Typically, it doesn't, to some degree, you're at fault, but for the most part, the narcissist is the one that causes all the problems. And, when we build boundaries and things, we can avoid these situations with individuals. And that's where we need to get health and healthiness, is building boundaries and understanding where toxic people are, what they look like before they pull us into these illusions and fake realities before we get our emotions and our love entangled with them, and our finances as well, before we figure everything out. When you wake up to narcissism, you can't go back. So you have to have authenticity, because it's got to come from deep down. But they also have to have authenticity to accept it. Sometimes you have to accept the issue that it is your fault, and it is. Sometimes it's their fault. But you have to be able to come to a conclusion, and to do that, two people have to have love, they have to have remorse, and they have to have authenticity. That's my point. You can't do it. One person can't have it, and the other one be a fake and a lie. And so, that's the case. So you got the case of the narcissist where they have absolutely no authenticity, no remorse, and no empathy. And then they build illusions to fix their issues. And their illusions are built in a construct that are reoccurring problems, because they're not solutions to the resolutions. They're reoccurring issues. And because they're falsities and fake and lies. And then on our end, before we wake up to this, we, of course, people please, and we are avoidant to some degree, because this is where you fall into this codependent state to where you don't want to lose them. So part of not wanting to lose them, part of the spell or whatever, is to just avoid talking about it, because, you get to a point to where, especially if you have a lot of things involved with them, you're too invested, and you don't want to lose them at that point. Either because it's going to be a financial burden to you, a financial stressor. It's going to be a stressor with breaking up the family. It could be anything, but you don't want to, and it's not going to solve anything, right? Because they don't change. And you're kind of gotten to that point. Then you're kind of a little bit, you can be scared, because there can be threatening, whether it's a man or a woman, because they could threaten you to leave you, to destroy you. Financially, physically, if they can physically abuse you, or, through the children, if you have families. And number 7, and smearing, who you are, your character. 7 is the narcissist will not accept any treatment. And that's the next worst thing. So not only are you maladaptive, you have built this illusion, this mask, it's built on evil. And you can't go inside, and anything that happened in your past childhood, you never can go in there and try to make any sense of it. You almost deny that anything ever occurred, and you're just out here walking as a broken individual. It's like you're a broken, it's like when God made humanity, man, the machine broke when Narcissist was formed, man. It's like the machine broke, and they came out broken, man. And it's like they are fixed, but it's not God's fault, They chose. We all have choices, and they made choices that were a long construct of evil, denial. They're anti-truth, anti-ethics. They have no love, and these are things that I think that they choose to make these choices. When you choose to go down certain paths, and then they become fixed. A lot of people talk about how they become, it's kind of like, may seem like it's water and sand, and then it gets some sludge in it, and then, before you know it, it turns into cement. And that's how the construct gets unchangeable. At some point in time, they feel comfortable doing what they're doing, and they also get addicted to supply sources. People in general they're addicts of people. It's like they say it's like heroin, when you need to go get outside validation, and you do it through individuals, through people. So, and it gets to a point to where you fiend for it more and more and more, and you're running faster and faster. And that's why I always say they always get you running faster, chasing them, and they get faster at switching sources and running around themselves, because, it gets insatiable. But anyway, I hope this helps somebody understand the 7 reasons why the narcissist cannot change. They are fixed. Thank you for watching. Give me a like, subscription, and thumbs up. I love y'all. Peace. We out.